Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for watching Donna's Edge. My name is Donna Thiesel, and I'm your host of Donna's Edge Talk Show. Been going on now for over 20 years, and we are so happy that you are in our world. You're part of what we do, and you're the reason why we've been doing this for 20 years. So again, thank you so much. Thank you also for sending emails. Appreciate that. Continue doing that. Donna at donnasedge.com. That's Donna at donnasedge.com. You see it right down there below my name. You can find us on television. We are Fox News affiliates. You can find us on television, channel 182, Charter Communications and Abundant Television, found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. And Rob Patz is celebrating actually 3 years of owning this station. He also owns a number of radio stations out all across the United States. You can also find us on the Newscaster Studio. That's the newscasters.com. Find the podcast there and all over social media. They say you couldn't do it, a few years ago. Well, actually you can. So all over Facebook, X, Twitter, the whole works. And by the way, AP Steadham is, I call a young child because he's a lot younger than I am. You'll be happy to know I'm on TikTok now.
Okay. Hey, Donna. Yeah. Hey, Donna, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Oh, good, Donna. Good. I'm going to say, Donna, I had the pleasure of covering an event for the first time. It's right here in Gulf Shores, Alabama, LA, Lower Alabama. And it was the NCAA Women's Beach Volleyball.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So there's about 70 teams in America. So it's all the different divisions of schools and colleges and universities. So there was a couple SEC teams in there, LSU and Texas have beach volleyball, women's beach volleyball. So that was a lot of fun here. They've done it many times, and I have to give them kudos for the operation itself. It was well organized. The food was great, and the weather cooperated. There's a little few spots there, but overall it was excellent. People had a lot of fun, and I really have never experienced this before, but I'd like to go back again. And the athletes were tremendous. Now you can imagine when you're walking on a beach, you know how your feet will dig into the sand, so it's an extra effort just to walk. Well, they're jumping and trying to go through all the gyrations to save the ball from hitting the ground, and then they pop up down it, and then they'll jump and leap up in the air and spike the ball on the other side. I mean, numerous times. So they're fabulous athletes.
Oh, I remember that. I used to play volleyball,
Okay,
and I
yeah.
absolutely loved it. So there was someone on an opposing team who was probably about almost a foot taller than I was, and for some reason, she would always be right there at me when we would get to the very front of the net, and I would go, "Oh no!" And she would look at me like, "I'm back.
I'm back." Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean, what that can be a really wild sport.
Yeah, what you noticed is they're so clever and skillful, Donna, that if someone's taller, as you said, they're hitting the ball to the right, to the left, dinking the ball over the person, but they are extremely have that extreme dexterity in their hands, and their eye coordination is excellent. So, and they call the plays out. Then it's a two-person team. You have 5 teams of 2. That's your team. And so you're going against the other 2-person 5 teams on the other side. But they'll, behind the back, they're using their fingers to call the play like a catcher would in baseball. So there's the strategy, but it's 2 people at a time. And you can imagine all the energy they exert just for one point, going back and forth, diving and leaping and moving and stretching. And so it's really tremendous.
And for the most part, it's an outdoor sport. Some are inside, but outdoor sport. And you've got the wind going at you sometimes.
Right. To give you an example, Donna, Boise State in Idaho has a team, and they were in this playoff. They were in this championship series, Boise State in Idaho. So they bring in the sand. Yes.
Yeah, that's a little different. Again, you got to keep your feet down on the ground too and not sink.
Right.
And some just wouldn't allow that. But anyway, it was a fun sport. I enjoyed it. It was like,
Yeah. So the eventual champion, it ended up being in the finals, Loyola Marymount University. And we saw history, Donna, because USC and UCLA have always won the championship. Those 2 teams, no one else has won. Well, on a Saturday morning, Loyola Marymount University, they beat USC first, I believe, and then they had to play UCLA, and they defeated them. So that was a record day for them because they're from Los Angeles as well. So they're number one in Los Angeles. I kidded with the coach and the players. You're number one in Los Angeles. But TCU came out of the other bracket and they won the championship. So that was the first time for them, and it was the first time for the sport to have someone different win the NCAA Women's Beach Volleyball Championship.
Mm-hmm. It sounds like that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was. So that was one of the events I attended this past few days. And then I had a chance to be at the Senior Bowl Hall of Fame induction. That was over in Point Clear, Alabama. Mm-hmm. So that's always a fun event. And we had, different players from around the country that played pro ball. They played in the pros, of course. And they played at schools like Stanford and Georgia and University of California. So they were inducted into the Hall of Fame. So that was a nice evening that they have. They had moved that event usually was in June, but they moved it up to May this year. So I was trying to grapple with being at several places this weekend.
So where else did you go? Man, you were just roving around all over the place last weekend.
Yeah, and normally, Donna, I'm at the Alabama Sports Hall of Fame, but they moved the date as well. So I had to select, and I unfortunately couldn't be there. So that was this weekend, the Alabama Sports Hall of Fame. That's a big event. And I always like to attend and cover. Usually I have a press conference on Friday, 11 o'clock. But like I said, I was at the beach volleyball, so I had to miss it this year. But I'll be back, of course. But that's always a nice experience for people if they like sports, because they have quite a few of the inductees will return, and they'll announce them at the dais, and they'll have the new inductees as well. So, but those three events all were this weekend, so I had to make some choices.
That wasn't an easy choice either.
No, it was not. Certainly was not, because I've been associated with that Alabama Sports Hall of Fame for many, many years. And so I rarely miss it. I rarely miss that event.
So I know you missed the event, but what were some of the highlights? Have you heard about that?
Yeah, well, I know Mark Ingram was one of the players that was inducted. Mark Ingram, former Heisman winner, running back at Alabama, University of Alabama. I know Frank Warren, defensive lineman from Auburn, was inducted. Mark Duffner is a golfer from Auburn University. Those are the few people I can remember at the top of my head that were inducted this weekend at the Alabama Sports Hall of Fame.
Mm-hmm. How long has that event been going on?
Oh, Donna, I think, believe it or not, I'm glad you asked me. I think I remember this correctly. I think the first class was 1969, I believe.
60s.
69. So I think, and the class was unbelievable that year. The inaugural class, it was Coach Bryant of Alabama, Coach Jordan of Auburn, Joe Louis, the famous boxer. I think Jesse Owens, the Olympian, famous track star. Those are four, and I think Don Hudson possibly, and I'm trying to think of one other one also. But I think those were some of the inaugural inductees of that prestigious Sports Hall of Fame right there in Birmingham, Alabama.
Yeah, and also the state of Alabama has had quite a few notable sports.
Oh my goodness. Just baseball alone, I mean, Willie Mays and Dink Aaron and Willie McCovey and Billy Williams, and those are just to name a few. Don Sutton, and trying to think of some others, but I don't know if Ozzie Smith is in that Hall of Fame or not. I'm not sure, but yeah, they've had a tremendous crop of baseball players, and of course we know the football players. Mm-hmm. I mean, Bo Jackson and Pat Sullivan and Joe Namath and Kenny Stabler and Cornelius Bennett and just Bobby Humphrey and a plethora of players from Auburn and Alabama, besides some other schools as well. And then the basketball, Leon Douglas and from Alabama, and I think probably John Mangles in there from Auburn, and Tuck Person and Charles Barkley. So the major names, national names, that not only succeeded in and around the state of Alabama, but across the country. They were in the NBA, the NFL, the Major League Baseball, and then I think they've had some other sports. You know, Jennifer Chandler was an Olympic gold medalist in the diving. went to Ohio State, but she was, I believe, the 76 Olympics, won the gold medal. Jennifer Chandler, and then the track and field, Carl Lewis, and as I mentioned, Jesse Owens, and so many people in that area as well. So the Alabama Sports Hall of Fame, and the structure and the building facility itself is very, very impressive if you ever have a chance to visit. Mm-hmm. I highly recommend it, because where can you see all those names done in one place? And the way they have it organized, and the presentation is really cool.
Well, the Coach Paul Bear Bryant Museum was awesome. Phil and I got to tour that, and we got to see the beginnings of football, and
right.
The football helmet, if you want to call it a helmet, looked almost like
some leather, right? There's some leather pieced together, right?
Yeah, the beginning days of football weren't that safe.
No, it wasn't that substantial, and it's evolved. It's still, of course, a collision sport, so they're trying to improve it all the time, come up with something that can absorb the shock and reduce the amount of concussions and injuries, especially around the head.
Yeah, especially even with a helmet, and they're really great helmets they have these days.
Yes, they are.
It gets that and yanks it. I mean, you can have a broken neck easily.
Right. Yeah, the helmets today are so well made, and they cost a lot of money because of that. They're trying to put in all the features that can prevent any type of head injury, and it's very difficult. But they're still trying to innovate and come up with other ways. So because it's so important, you might absorb the blow at a young age, Donna, but there's a lasting effect. So that's what worries and concerns people involved with this sport.
Mm-hmm. I'll have to say this: my husband Philip played football, and basically high school football, but he injured his knee,
right,
and it affects him to this day. So
yeah, the injuries affect you, right? Your body is affected by these injuries in your arms and your legs and your torso. Yes, correct. So they're always trying to improve the safety of the game. Yeah, it's ongoing. I don't know if it'll ever end.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. We're going to have to go into a commercial break. Can you believe half the show's already over? Already? Okay, let's go to a commercial break. We're going to be right back in just a minute. Everybody hang in there, okay? Twin City Used Car Sales has been serving drivers in the Northeast Alabama area for years with a quality selection of late model used cars, SUVs, and pickup trucks. On top of our extensive selection and competitive prices, we offer professional auto financing services for used car buyers of all credit levels. Whether you've just begun your search or you're ready to secure your next vehicle, at Twin City Used Car Sales, you will drive away with the vehicle of your dreams. The sales and finance staff at Twin City Used Car Sales looks forward to serving you, and you can apply for financing online before your visit to our used dealership in Gadsden, Alabama. Check us out on the web at twincityusedcars.com or go by our location at 901 First Avenue, Gadsden, Alabama. We sincerely look forward to serving you. At Lamone's Mexican Restaurant, located in Henniger, Alabama, and voted Best Mexican Restaurant of DeKalb County, Alabama 2020, we're here to serve you with authentic Mexican cuisine. Order easily online by going to lamonsmex.com or call 256-657-3999 to place your order. We're open Sunday through Thursday, 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Friday and Saturday, 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Whether you're celebrating a cozy date night for two or a celebration for a crowd, at Lamone's you'll love our atmosphere and friendly servers. Thank you for dining with Lamone's Mexican Restaurant. At Liberty Bank, we're all about community, whether it's to help with a charity fundraiser or help families in need. Toys at Christmas or a local football team, we're here for you. You see, we realize the importance of family. Sometimes it's to build a new home or necessary home repairs. We're here for you. If you like the feel of a small town bank with all the conveniences of a big city bank, we're here to serve you. You will find us at any of our convenient locations in DeKalb, Marshall, Etowah, and Blount counties in North Alabama. You can call and speak with any of our friendly staff at 256-659-2175 or check us out on the web at libertybankal.com. And thank you for your support of our community. Member FDIC Equal Housing Lender.
I'm excited to announce our Christmas extravaganza is finally here. Get this season's flannel sheets for as low as $59.98. They won't last long, so get them while you can. Our famous My Slippers, they haven't been on sale for over a year. Regularly $119.98, now only $59.98. Our 6-piece towel sets are back in stock with extremely limited quantities, only $29.98. With hundreds of MyPillow products, there's something for everyone on your Christmas list. Bathrobes, duvets, quilts, down comforters, and so much more. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save on all MyPillow products. For example, flannel sheets for as low as $59.98. Or our 6-piece towel sets, just $29.98. But that's not all. I'm extending our 60-day money-back guarantee until March 1st of 2025. Plus, all orders over $75 or more ship absolutely free.
Are you ready?
We all wonder what tomorrow will bring, but the future lays itself at the feet of the prepared and surrenders to the will of the persistent. It's not easy, but today shapes you so you can shape tomorrow. With Northeast Alabama Community College, when the future asks if you're ready, you can answer.
Yes.
Begin your future at Northeast Alabama Community College.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Donna, and I'm your host of Donna's Edge Talk Show, where truth matters. Got AP Steadham with me right now. He's syndicated with his show, AP As We See It. What's going on with the show?
Yeah, Donna, we had a fun show last week. I wanted to discuss the quarterback situation at Tennessee and Arkansas because, as the people in Tennessee are reminded daily, I guess, for the last month or so, Nico Iamaleava made the move from Tennessee to UCLA. And then he had a younger brother, Madden Iamaleava, who originally committed to UCLA, then signed with Arkansas. Now he's going to be at UCLA with him sitting on the bench watching his older brother. So those are big stories in the SEC involving one family. So we had a representative from discussing Arkansas and Tennessee on the show last week. So people can listen to that on my YouTube channel at AP As We See It. And we're also on course at AP Steadham, different things, different events that we attend. You can find our videos there as well, and on the Facebook and then the Instagram and the X account. And then we archive every episode on Spotify as well. But yeah, I felt it was important because not only did the young quarterback from Arkansas transfer to UCLA, I think Arkansas, they're in pursuit of filing some legal action because he received some name, image, and likeness revenue, and they're trying to recapture that because he didn't fulfill the contract. So I think it's one of the first schools to really publicly take legal action against a student athlete who signed an NIL deal and then ended up transferring. So that was big news.
Yeah, that's big news. And it seems as if, and this is Clint mentioned this, and that's on the situation as it unfolds. New rules are being integrated, I'm pretty sure right now. People are thinking ahead of the game on that. But there needs to be some kind of a cutoff time. Or maybe you have to play for a team for 1 year before you can go somewhere else. It just seems like we're having to kind of figure this thing out as we go.
You're correct. And Don, it's really strange how when you enact these laws and legislation for the transfer rules, the name, image, and likeness, that you didn't envision these scenarios that would just be very difficult to function for your program, because you have people showing up in January and transferring in May. They didn't even stay till the first game.
Yeah.
And so you're trying to manage your roster. Now, I understand that if it's the same for everybody, so you can say, well, I'm having trouble. Well, so is the person at the rival school. They're contending with these variations and strange things that are happening just like you. So there's no advantage in that area. Everybody is all juggling. They're juggling. They're jugglers right now, right? They're juggling everything, the rosters, and trying to figure out. And then you have these name, image, and likeness in these contracts. And I would think that both sides have representation. So if I sign a contract, I have to honor it, and then I want you to honor it. I mean, it's equal footing, but players are leaving and taking the money, but not honoring the contract. So if I was a school, I don't know. You have to decide on it. Do you want the reputation? If you leave my school, I'm going to sue you, because people would shy away from that because they have that in the back of their mind. I'm going to sign with this school for more money, but I'm not sure. I might have to ask for a little more money because they're going to try to sue me if I leave, which is, I don't think there's anything wrong with you just trying to make someone honor the contract. I don't think that's a devious position for a school, and vice versa. If the school does not honor the contract that they sign, you can sue them in terms. But this idea that you can just walk away without any retribution, I think that's odd.
Yeah, I do too. And I thought Carrie, and I've got other things we'll talk about, but Carrie sent a statement. She said, I can see Alexander Shinara is probably smiling right now, thinking of all the different lawsuits he could be involved with.
Yeah, I don't know, but it's still going to be the wild, wild west until further notice, Donna, as I always called it 5 or 6 years ago when I started researching this idea. So it's the wild, wild west until further notice, because they're looking towards Congress to enact some guidelines, and but I don't know when that's going to happen, Donna. They've been discussing it for years now. Nothing's happened.
Can you see Tommy Tuberville getting involved in this some way?
Oh, I'm sure he is. I'm sure he is. But talking about something, life carries on. It doesn't wait for anybody. So that's why we still have this wild, wild west situation. Players are coming and going, like I say, arriving in January, leaving in May.
It's the new norm. We'll all have to get used to it. Absolutely. Yeah. And it'll even out somehow.
I guess. I mean, like I said, but everybody is having to manage and apply these rules as they stand. So there's no advantage. You can complain all you want, but whoever applies the rule and manages each scenario and situation will thrive.
Yeah, and not only, though, are coaches having to think about injuries that could slow down the team, they're having to think about what if someone leaves.
Yeah, the roster management, it's crucial in this day and age because, and Donna, and I'd like to just express this point to the audience. Coaches, I think some of them, they welcome this idea that if I didn't recruit a player that is capable of helping us win, I'm going to ask them to leave. They don't discuss that very often. But that's the situation, Don. You say, well, there's 25 players leaving. Yeah, maybe there's a couple you wanted to retain, but there's maybe 15 you wanted to leave. So it's an advantage for a coach, too. There are pluses and minuses to this system.
I can see that. I had employees like that. And I wish I could think of a way to get them to leave. They're just not working out.
Right. Yeah. In this system, there's no hard feelings because everyone knows. We're going to ask you to leave. We'll help you to transfer to another school, but we have no use for your services moving forward. So coaches, they don't discuss that part of the roster management, but that's alive and well. That they have that ability to extricate players who are not performing very well, or they don't foresee their future as making a contribution to winning.
Well, then I see what you've been saying, because it'll all even out in the day wash, right? Because
that's right.
There's less lawsuits right there on that end.
Yeah, there's less, hopefully. But players have that ability, but coaches also have that ability to move players in and out of their roster. And years ago, I mean, you probably have to honor that scholarship. I mean, that's your mistake. You're the one who recruited that player. Mm-hmm. You're the one who offered them. You're the one who signed them. You have to live with that mistake. But not now. You can ask people, like as I say, to move on. And there's maybe some hurt feelings, but they're slight. That's not like major, like in the past when you're trying to run somebody off. Now you just tell them to their face in the meeting after the season. Hey, I don't think you're going to have a chance. You're third or fourth on the roster, the depth chart. We have some new players we're bringing into the program. It'd be best for your situation if you transfer to another school, and we'll help you.
Well, that's why you're on the show, AP. I never saw it from that angle.
Yeah, the coaches, they don't like to mention that part, Donna. They don't discuss that. They hoot and holler and complain about transfers, but they're the first ones to take a transfer, right? They're the first ones to take somebody to their school. I remember even when it was the prior system, coaches were saying, well, they need to stay and face adversity. But I never saw any of them refuse a transfer that was going to help them to win. Look at all these quarterbacks that have helped people win after they transfer and won national championships with it or got into the playoffs with a transfer quarterback. You didn't see the coach complaining and say, oh, he should have stayed at the prior school to face adversity. You never heard that from the podium. You're just fussing about it. Oh, we got some players and we're transferring. We can't manage the roster. Oh, really? I just saw you accepted 5 players from different schools. You want to discuss that part of your roster right now? They don't find that very much fun at the podium.
I get it. It all evens out in the wash. Absolutely. Yeah. Okay, football. Less than 2 minutes left. God, what are you hearing?
Yeah, Donna, this year the SEC, they're playing the same conference schedule for 2 years, 24 and 25. So you're going to see the same teams at your school competing against the conference teams. So some teams are happy with that schedule. Others, it's a little more difficult. I remember when we first broached last season, Florida had an unbelievable schedule, and they managed to survive and thrive, especially at the end of the year, had some upsets. But Florida's got that tough schedule again, and they start off with Miami at that game is in Gainesville instead of going down Texas A&M, Tennessee, and they have Georgia and Texas and LSU, Ole Miss, and Florida State. So Florida still has a very difficult schedule this year, and hopefully they'll improve their roster some. And Billy Napier's been there a few years now, so he's implementing his system. But that schedule is still very difficult, and it'd be surprising if they're one of the top teams just because of the schedule. Not saying they lack talent, but it's overbearing that schedule that they have to contend with this season again.
Yeah, but you know what? What doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Yeah, so they came on last year. They had a pretty good season, considering that tough schedule. They upset some teams. They knocked Ole Miss out of the playoffs last year by beating them. That was down there in Gainesville. Yeah. So, that Miami game should be be in Miami. I guess it is. Yeah, I was looking at last year's schedule. Yeah. Go ahead, Donna. Yeah.
Hey, 10 seconds left. What would you like to tell the folks before you go? 10 seconds.
Oh yeah. We check our social media at AP As We See It and at AP Steadham, all the social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, X account, Spotify, and YouTube channels.
There you go. Thank you, AP, for being with us. Hang around. Let's see if we can get you set up for next week. Okay.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Donna. Thank you
guys so much for watching. Definitely appreciate it. Continue sending emails, by the way. Donna@donnasedge.com. Donna@donnasedge.com. See you next time.